Special thanks to Tokyo Treat and Sakurako for sponsoring today's video. Before we begin, there will be spoilers for the 1000-Year Blood War arc of Bleach in the video to come. The Quincy have returned in the 1000-Year Blood War arc, hell-bent on waging war against the Soul Society and annihilating their ancient enemy once and for all. After their devastating defeat at the hands of the original Gotei 13 over 1,000 years ago, the remnants of Yhwach's shattered empire retreated into the shadows, spending the next millennium biding their time, watching, waiting, and learning all the while. During that time, the extremist military arm of the Quincy rapidly modernized, abandoning their old practices and techniques in the face of new, divine occult power, enabling them to not only compete with a newer, softer Gotei, but actually crush them altogether. One of the most prominent ways in which they've grown stronger is with the Quincy Vollständig. Meaning Quincy complete, the Vollständig, otherwise known as a Quincy's holy form, is the evolution of the Letz Stil, a sacrificial ability that granted a Quincy immeasurable power and dominion over Reishi at the extremely high cost of all of their powers. Now, with the Quincy Vollständig, the Sternritter, the elite Quincy soldiers of the Vandenreich, can tap into a near limitless wellspring of power without the risk of losing their Quincy abilities. When compared to the Letz Steel, which is defined by a single fiery wing of power, the Vollständig transforms the Quincy completely, engulfing them in a blinding, glittering column of holy light before granting them 2 or more wings and a more angelic, though often twisted appearance, complete with a halo now adorning their heads. The modern-day Sternritter consider the Quincy Vollständig to be the answer to the outdated relic that is the Letz Steel, and a method for them to reliably combat captain-level Shinigami on equal footing. Of all the major transformations and power-ups in Bleach, I'd argue the Quincy Vollständig is perhaps the most overlooked, though a lot of that is likely due to how inconsistently they're portrayed in the source material. Which is a shame, as I love the concept and most of the designs. The 1000-Year Blood War arc anime has done a great job with them, however, emphasizing the religious undertones of these forms by accompanying each transformation with a sinister church bell motif, while highlighting their individuality as well, giving every Sternritter their own bespoke colour scheme. The anime has also taken things a step further, introducing the idea that there are multiple stages to a Vollständig, and that the holy form can be enhanced through an ability called Sklaverei, which itself was criminally underused in the original story. Speaking of abilities, through the Vollständig, each Sternritter gains the ability to fly freely after acquiring their wings, and their halo represents their divine abilities. Destroying the halo removes a Sternritter's power to subjugate Reishi, for instance. In today's video, we're going to be taking an in-depth look at the Quincy Vollständig, which is something I've been wanting to do for a while now, going over every single form that's been revealed and assessing what we know about each, including information from both the source material and the anime. It's important to note as well that, of course, the anime is still ongoing. While we've seen most of the Vollständig that I expect to see, it is possible there might be some surprises coming down the line, at which point I will provide an updated video to reflect any new information. So, without further ado, it's time to bask in the majesty that is the Sternritter's greatest technique, their angelic holy form, and the culmination of all of their power and progress. However, before we take a look at the Quincy Vollständig, we need to start with where it all began. The Letz Steel, as demonstrated by Uryu Ishida way back in the Soul Society arc. Meaning last style, unlike the Vollständig, the Letz Steel was designed to originally act as a Quincy's very final resort. Uryu activates his Letz Steel against Mayuri Kurotsuchi, removing the seal on his Sanrei glove to access unlimited power. The Sanrei glove works by repelling Reishi from the wearer at all times, making it nearly impossible for a Quincy to generate their bow. After training for an extended period of time while wearing the glove, constantly firing arrows while trying to prevent one's bow from disappearing over the course of 7 days and 7 nights, a Quincy reaches the apex of their power, which is then only heightened massively when the restrictions of the glove are suddenly released, and permanently as well. When he does just that, Uryu is swallowed up in a massive blast of swirling blue flame before emerging from the smoke with an altered appearance. While wielding the Letz Steel, Uryu gains an overlay of Quincy battle armor and a surging wing of blue energy, which is capable of completely commanding the reishi in the surrounding area. Uryu's wing quite literally peels apart the walls of the Seirete around him. Now able to form ornate arrows in his bare hand thanks to the power emanating from his wing, Uryu is strong enough to effortlessly defeat a captain-level opponent, both moving faster and hitting harder than anything Mayuri was able to comprehend. In the face of Mayuri's bankai, Uryu is able to destroy it with a single arrow shot, also nearly killing the captain in the process. However, because the power of the Sanrei glove affects the wielder as well, Uryu eventually succumbs to it and loses all of his Quincy powers. In the face of the Vandenreich's relentless growth, always marching ever forwards, Uryu's grandfather Soken Ishida was the only Quincy to adhere to the Letz Steel over the Vollständig, with Quilge OP accusing him of denying the Quincy their studies and their evolution. Interestingly, while a Sanrei glove is necessary for the activation of the Letz Steel, the Sternritter have seemingly evolved beyond that as well. Now, while Quilge OP uses a Laden Hand, presumably the Vandenreich equivalent of the glove, as his Quincy cross is actually seen dangling from his belt, something totally separate, the majority of the Sternritter activate their Vollständig via their Quincy cross instead. Their holy forms can also be remotely activated by Yuhabak himself, and multiple holy forms activating at the same time can cause the powers of other Sternritters to resonate with one another, forcibly sprouting the basic version of their holy form's wings. While Uryu never uses a Vollständig in the source material, I do predict we'll see one for him in the anime, so we'll have to keep an eye out for that. Moving on though to our first Vollständig, we have Sternritter C, the compulsory Pernida Pankajaz's currently unnamed holy form. Now, Pernida never used a Vollständig in the source material, so this is a brand new addition for the anime. Pernida's holy form is forcibly activated when its corpse is revived through Yuhabak's Auswählen, pure Quincy power and life energy raining down upon it, causing its wings and halo to materialize. Pernida's wings take the form of a pair of giant hands, while its halo is in the shape of a prominent star, and both are a brilliant regal gold in colour. Uniquely, Pernida can actually use its wings to reach out and grab things, enabling it to use them effectively in battle. Nothing else, though, is currently known about Pernida's holy form, but I'm just glad we've actually seen a taste of it. Up next, we have my favourite Sternritter with one of my favourite holy forms, Sternritter D, the death-dealing Askin Naklavar, and his Vollständig Hashane, which means God's poison taster. And I love this name too. Despite Askin musing that it's not particularly cool, it gives us a great insight into Askin's position within the Schutzstaffel. Although he's been granted a seat at the table as of his recent promotion, he's still seen as the lowest of them, the name of his holy form referencing the one who historically had to test the food and drink of the kings of old, putting their lives on the line to ensure they're not poisoned. Anyway, thanks to the anime, we see the base form of Askin's Hashane forced upon him when he's revived by Yuhabak's Auswählen, granting him glittering purple wings in the shape and design of molecular nodes. In this form, he's capable of conjuring a long purple staff, again designed to resemble a molecular structure, which can be used in close quarters combat. The staff can also be split into several gift balls, allowing Askin to poison anything nearby. Later, when Askin uses the full power of his Vollständig, we don't see him activate it, but it is likely done with his Quincy cross, which he keeps in his bracelet. However, when he transforms, his holy form generates an enormous gift ball known as the Gift Ball Deluxe, which is a massive ball of purple poison large enough to swallow up an entire street. In the true form of Hashane, Askin retains his molecular wings and halo, but also gains a protective visor over his eyes. His pants are now covered in a flaming purple reishi that extends to his shoes, while he gains molecular rings around his wrists, ankles, and a large belt around his waist that eventually disappears. Molecular nodes appear down his forearms, while the bracelets he was originally wearing transform into these molecular rings too. In this form, when Askin moves particularly fast, he sometimes leaves a trail on the ground in the shape of a molecular structure as well. Here, Askin is still able to conjure his staff, but he has a plethora of other abilities as well. Of course, the central and most prominent ability is the enhanced version of Askin's Shrift, the Death Dealing. Now his holy form will adapt to any changes in poison that might affect him, and this extends to changing Reiatsu as well. As mentioned earlier, Askin is also capable of creating the Gift Ball Deluxe, as well as adjusting it further, transforming it into the Gift Bereich thanks to the application of spheres and nodes of light to the outer layer, making it impossible to escape from. Perhaps Askin's most deadly ability, however, is Gift Ring. In his holy form, he can unclip his bracelets, expand them in size massively, and then launch them at a designated target. The rings then vanish, reappearing on a chosen body part of the enemy, which Askin can then focus the full strength of the death dealing on, killing that body part instantly. As we see in his battle with Kisuke, Askin targets Kisuke's eyes, the gift ring latching on in a pretty graphic fashion and causing them to explode, blinding Kisuke instantly. Askin's Vollständig, along with his Shrift in general, is easily one of the most fleshed out of the bunch, and I can't wait to see it in the anime. Sternritter E, the Explode Bambietta Bastarbine, uses her Vollständig in battle against Komamura during the second Quincy invasion. After she's confounded by Shinji Hirako's Sakanade, Yhwach remotely activates her holy form, and she's consumed by a pillar of burning red-hot light. When she emerges, Bambietta's outfit is unchanged. However, she now has a pair of brilliant crimson wings and a sharp pointed halo. Her wings are the most interesting part of the new form. Shaped like those of a bat, Bambietta's pointed wings hold rows of reishi orbs within their arches, which she can then fling down towards the ground at a tremendous speed and force. In fact, she's so fast now with the Explode that she's able to take Shinji out in a single hit and without him even knowing what's going on. In her holy form, Bambietta's Shrift is greatly enhanced, allowing her to devastate the surrounding area on a near continuous basis, rapidly firing spheres of reishi at her enemies, which then detonate on contact. Thanks to this, Bambietta is able to use the Explode to flood the battlefield with bright red blasts. Unfortunately, this is all we get to see of her holy form in both the source material and the anime, despite the other members of the Bambis getting a greatly expanded showing of their powers. However, thanks to anime production notes, we know that the name of Bambietta's holy form is Zophiel, meaning the blaze of God, and that were she to enhance her form with Sclaverai, she would have gained similarly covered boots, gloves, and a chest piece. When zombified, Bambietta retains her Vollständig, however, its name has now become Zombiel, which is fantastic. Were she to have enhanced it with Sclaverai while like this, the Vollständig would now appear withered and decaying and be a darker shade of red. As a zombie, her enhanced Vollständig would have had clawed hands and much higher boots. Up next, we have one of, if not the absolute coolest Vollständig in the series, I would argue, inarguably. Sternritter F, the Fear Asnod's holy form Tartar Foraz, meaning the fear of God. And this truly is a terrifying sight to behold. Kubo clearly wanted to go all out for Asnod, because unlike most other Sternritter, Asnod's holy form grants him a full transformation, twisting him into a monstrous, hellish fallen angel. By rolling his eye back into his head fully, Asnod exposes his Quincy cross, which then entombs him inside a towering pillar of dark purple power as blood pours from his eye sockets. The anime granted us an extended look at his transformation, revealing exactly what goes on inside that column of light, and it isn't pretty. As he shrieks and writhes in agony, Asnod's insides spill out of his chest before suddenly being stitched back up again, his innards pushed back into his emaciated form as his halo spins into life atop his head. Once the light dissipates, we see Tartar Foraz in all of its glory. In his so-called holy form, Asnod's eyes are permanently rolled upwards into his skull, streaks of blood running down his face. Like all other Sternritter, his holy form grants him a pair of wings. Asnod's take the unusual shape of a pair of thorned circles that almost look like barbed wire or something, and the same is true of his halo as well, his star sitting on a ring of spikes. Whatever clothing he was wearing prior to his transformation is gone, replaced by a gruesome gown made up, naturally, of his own skin, while his forearms have become black and animalistic with long clawed fingers capping off his skeletal hands. It really is an amazing design, evoking shades of Ulquiorra's Segunda Etapa, but then pushing it to its most violent extreme, striking terror into the hearts of those that are unfortunate enough to gaze upon him. And I mean that literally, as that's the primary ability of his Vollständig. Asnod's Shrift the Fear is enhanced greatly. Where he used to have to strike his enemies with his arrows to imbue them with terror, now they simply need to look at him to fall under his curse. And when under the influence of the fear, Asnod's victims find themselves paralysed to the spot, allowing him to surround them on all sides with his piercing eyes. Once trapped, Asnod's victims will be overcome with a terrible fear that penetrates even the deepest recesses of their mind, the darkness behind their own eyelids causing the fear to amplify uncontrollably. Despite her training in the royal palace, Rukia was unable to fight back once the fear had truly taken hold and found herself screaming in abject horror before Byakuya's intervention at the last minute. Asnod is able to access a second form of his Vollständig, though what it's capable of is unknown. By ripping open his stitches, Asnod reveals a second gigantic version of his own face writhing around inside his stomach, which slowly pulls itself out of the gown, eventually towering over Rukia. This form is far less human than even Asnod's Vollständig, now a gangling eldritch monster, his sagging eyeballs dripping from his gaunt skull, while his bottom half has regressed into a mess of tentacles and flesh. And yes, it was an awful lot of fun writing about this form. Now adorned with 4 wings, Asnod's new form represents his own fear, which eats away at him from the inside, as his former self now hangs from the giant's chin, nothing left of him but a desiccated skin suit. Before this second form of Az's can do anything, however, Rukia puts him down for good with her bankai. As you can probably see, Kubo put an incredible amount of work and thought into Asnod's Vollständig, especially when compared to a lot of the other Sternritter, and the anime only brought it to life further in a truly grotesque and fantastic fashion. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum in some ways, we have Sternritter G, the glutton Liltotto Lamperd, and her Vollständig Gagael, meaning the hunger of God. In the source material, we sadly only see this form in its initial basic state, and honestly, it's quite unimpressive looking. Liltotto's Vollständig takes the shape of a pair of sharp-toothed wings made of yellow reiatsu, while also giving her a generic halo to boot. Originally, that would be about everything I had to say for this form, but thanks to the anime, Liltotto's Vollständig gets a lot more love. Using Sclavarai to bolster the power of her holy form, we learn its name in the anime as she prepares to take on Ichigo. Emerging from a pillar of yellow light, the design of Liltotto's holy form has been improved dramatically. Now, instead of a single row of teeth on either side, Liltotto's wings take the shape of a pair of snapping jaws, while she gains jagged golden cuffs around both her wrists and her ankles. The anime also gave Liltotto a full food-themed ability set, which is really great to see. Liltotto's Spork ability lets her fire one of her cuffs at her enemy, blasting it towards them like a cannonball with the power to punch a hole through anything it comes into contact with. Meanwhile, her Spife ability unravels another of her cuffs, turning it into a serrated whip, which she can then swing at foes. Perhaps her greatest power, though, is Golden Crunch. By hiding an enormous pair of yellow jaws in the ground, Liltotto can raise them up like a bear trap, capturing and killing anything unfortunate enough to be crushed between their fangs. Again, in the source material, this was really one of the most basic holy form designs, so I'm so glad to see it get fleshed out in the anime. Speaking of the most basic of holy form designs, moving on, we have a Vollständig that is really in need of some love, because as it is just kind of sad. Despite being one of the most prominent and popular Sternritter, Sternritter H the Heat, Bazz-B's holy form, is just flat out bad, granting him nothing but a generic halo and a pair of ruby red wings in the shape of bars. This form is not only unnamed, but it is presumably only the base version, though I'm not holding out too much hope of seeing it enhanced with Sklaveri after Bazz-B had his Vollständig, again presumably stolen by Yhwach. Now I get it, the bars are supposed to represent Burner Finger 1, Bazz-B's most famous move, but it just looks rushed, boring, and unfinished. There were so many things Kubo could have done with the Quincy's fire user, even if it just meant giving him huge flaming wings. Even that would have looked better than this. We also have no idea what this Vollständig can do, if anything. Bazz-B uses it to snipe the Bambis out of the sky, but they're back on their feet mere minutes later. He then also tries to use this form against Ichigo as well, but is stopped short of doing anything meaningful. Later, Bazz-B is also in Vollständig when fighting Renji and Rukia, but once again, doesn't get the chance to show it off. So, sadly, that's it for Bazz-B's holy form as it stands. I would welcome any additional information on it in the future, to be honest, for Bazz-B's own sake. Next up though, things are picking up again. We have a much better transformation here. The first Vollständig we ever saw in the series, Sternritter J, the Jail Quilge OP's Piskiel, the Justice of God. We actually saw this Vollständig before we knew Quilge was a Sternritter and before the first Quincy invasion actually took place. Even today, I think Quilge's Piskiel stands the test of time as one of the coolest transformations among the Quincy. Battling Ichigo, Quilge activates his holy form using his Laden Hand, which, as I mentioned, is a little weird since he does have a separate Quincy cross. This tells me that Kubo originally planned for all the Sternritter to use a glove to initiate their transformations like Uryu did, before deciding to scrap it in favour of the regular Quincy cross instead, probably to streamline the initiation, which I think makes a lot of sense. Quilge's Vollständig is coloured the traditional crystalline Quincy blue, and grants him 2 enormous wings. At the same time, his eyes take on the appearance of the bars of a jail cell, while he gains a few reishi additions to his outfit, such as a holster that wraps over and around his shoulder, as well as a pair of frankly fabulous high-heeled reishi boots. Quilge's look is completed by encasing his officer's sabre in a more ornate, stylized design with a pair of reishi gauntlets, really complementing his overall look and feel, turning him into a terrifying, yet aloof and flamboyant aggressor, ready to dispense Yhwach's justice to all those he sees as beneath him. Through Piskiel, we see the first example of a Sternritter dominating reishi in the traditional sense, and really one of the few actual examples of seeing this as well, as Quilge gathers the reishi of Hueco Mundo to him in order to generate an absolutely massive blast of power. In his Vollständig, Quilge is capable of conjuring an arc of arrows, an enhanced version of how his sword fires arrows originally. While not an ability unique to Quilge, Quilge is the first Sternritter to use Sklaveri while in Vollständig, stripping and absorbing all of Ion's flesh with his halo, empowering his own form with Ion strength. Thanks to the anime, however, we now know that Ion's monstrous appearance meshing with Quilge's own is an abomination, and a result of the poisonous Hollow Reiatsu messing with Quilge's pure, untainted Quincy nature. In the source material, Quilge is the only Sternritter to use Sklaveri, and while the anime has rectified that, As of the time of recording, he remains the only Sternritter to use Ranso Tengai to keep himself alive. Interestingly, Quilge's Vollständig was seen in the mobile game Bleach Brave Souls long before we saw it in the anime, and there it was actually coloured yellow. Now, before we move on to the second half of the list, first of all, a message from today's sponsor. Well, love is in the air this month, as today's sponsor, Tokyo Treat and Sakurako, are celebrating Valentine's Day with some beautiful themed boxes filled to the brim with Japanese snacks that look as though they've been delivered by Cupid himself. My Valentine, Jade, and I are going to take a look at this month's offering and let you know how you too can experience Japan from the comfort of your own home, this time with a lovely twist. Sorry about that. Now, while Tokyo Treat and Sakurako both contain an assortment of delicious snacks and Japanese-inspired treats, they offer very different experiences. Tokyo Treat is a monthly pop Japanese snack subscription box that includes up to 20 of the latest limited edition and seasonal snacks. This month's theme is, of course, Be My Valentine, and Tokyo Treat have really gone all out with the theming this time, with snacks including strawberry shortcake Kit Kats, sweetheart fruit juice, and for Pokemon fans everywhere, these special limited edition candy hearts, which I think we're going to have to try.
Look how cute. Oh my god, they're so strong.
They are, yeah.
They smell amazing.
They have Pokemon on them. They do have Pokemon on the hearts.
Oh my god.
They're quite strong.
Wow. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's sugary.
They pack a punch. Like a Pokemon battle.
Uh-huh.
And the second thing we're going to try is these. I mean, they just say they're called bakes, which is simple enough. I'm not entirely sure what this is saying. Maybe it means they're good for eating in front of the computer, in a car, or up a mountain range. But I'm not entirely sure. But
what does it say in the booklet? Cut to Tom getting a booklet.
Okay, so they are just called Bake Chocolat. Unlock the magic of love with these bite-sized chocolate snacks, individually wrapped to share.
Here you go, Valentine.
Oh, thanks a lot. I really appreciate that.
I'll take one.
Oh, they're like mini brownies.
They do taste like brownies.
That's good stuff.
That's really weird.
That's good stuff.
It's like a brownie in a little packet.
Now I see why he has a smiley face.
Meanwhile, Sakurako is a monthly Japanese snack box that supports local snack makers. Each box includes 20 traditional artisan Japanese snacks, as well as authentic Japanese tea and special Japanese tableware. This month, there's one of two gorgeous plates coming in either a kiko or a firefly design. Like with Tokyo Treat, the theme for February is one of love, Valentine's indulgence. And some of the snacks included are a peach dorayaki, wild grape gummies, and a chocolate Danish, which I'm sure Tom will enjoy. The box also includes some very pretty, suitably pink strawberry daifuku.
So, what are we trying from Sakurako?
Possibly my favourite packet out of both boxes we've received. Look at it.
It's very on theme.
This is the daifuku, so strawberry flavoured. I'm just going to open it.
Yeah, let's go.
I'm so excited to try this.
Into it. There's a lot of strawberry and a lot of chocolate, which I guess makes sense for
the perfect
Valentine's.
loving combination. It's so squishy.
Let's go. Yeah, the textures are so funny, aren't they? Look at that. It's like, whoa.
Tastes like love, Tom. So, Tom, I've picked the next one for you.
Okay.
It says, you will just fall in love with the first bite.
Confident. So, Komachi Adzuki Pie. This Komachi Adzuki pie has a rich red bean paste filling, delicately enveloped in several layers of flaky puff pastry. Apparently it's wholesome. Oh, that is quite wholesome, to be fair.
So wholesome.
Yeah.
I kind of achieved it.
Yeah.
You have the bigger part.
Okay, alright, thanks.
Because it's Valentine's Day and I love you.
Oh, that's nice. That's real nice. Alright, let's go. Here we go. Ready?
Go.
Look at the layers in the...
Look at the layers, Steve.
Look at the layers in the pastry.
All over the floor.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, I got a little bonus treat for you, Tom. Found this in the box. It's a chocolate crunch and it's pink.
Very nice.
Pink
That's adorable.
Oh my god, Tom.
Again, it's smelling very strong.
It's so
that is cute, yeah. Is that rice, I think? Is it like a rice?
It looks like a Rice Krispie cake.
It does, yeah. It does.
But like in a little chocolate.
That's very cute, yeah.
Enjoy, Tom. Enjoy.
And of course, as mentioned earlier, no matter which box you choose, each one comes with a detailed booklet that tells you everything you need to know, not just about the snacks inside, but also about the theme of the month as well. For example, those of you that have played Bleach Brave Souls will be well acquainted with the concept of White Day, working as a reflection of Valentine's Day. You see, Valentine's Day in Japan is all about girls giving chocolate to boys.
Here you go.
Look at that, perfect. Whereas White Day is the reverse of that, where boys then give gifts and chocolate and stuff like that to girls instead. Well, that's not actually White Day yet, so, well, okay, there you go. One thing I love about Tokyo Treat and Sakurako, though, is the variety they manage to bring each month, while still remaining on theme. It goes to show, I think, the thought put into the product, which I really appreciate. But that's it for February's special Valentine's Day boxes. As always, I want to give a huge shout out and say a big thank you to Tokyo Treat and Sakurako for supporting the channel by sponsoring today's video. If you want to treat yourself or that special someone to a box as a thoughtful Valentine's Day gift, make sure to follow the links down in the description and the pinned comment and use my code for $5 off your purchase. Thanks everyone, and enjoy. Alright, and we're back with everyone's favourite Vollständig, Sternritter L, the love PePe Wakabrada's Gudoero, or the love of God. Despite PePe's Quincy cross being found in the eyeball of his strange winged staff, he doesn't seem to use it to activate his holy form. Instead, PePe draws a heart in the air in front of him with his hands, initiating the transformation. Immediately, PePe's glasses explode off his face, his beard splits into 4 prongs, and for some reason his clothes have to vanish as well, leaving us with an almost and totally naked man, save for what looks like an enormous nappy around his waist. PePe gains a pair of drooping, creepy-looking wings. They are wide in size and have several tendrils dangling from them, a single eye in the centre of each, reminiscent of Aizen's monster form from long ago. In his Vollständig, PePe's Reiatsu becomes a sickly pink in colour, and he gains the ability to use several different powers. PePe unravels the floating basket that he sits on, turning it into love rope. Reams of interlinked pink hearts that he's able to sling at his enemies with enough force to punch through even Byakuya's Oken cloak. Reaching into his mouth, PePe is also able to draw forth his bow and arrow, gurgling as he brings them up. The arrows themselves are affixed with the full power of his Shrift the Love, which we get a clearer look at in the anime with loads of little hearts flying from the tip of the arrow itself, though he doesn't get the chance to use it. It's hard to know if PePe always has access to his bow and arrow like this, but considering they're the same colour as his wings, I'm not entirely sure. And to be honest, I'm not sure I even really want to know. While PePe's form has been the butt of the joke for a while now, as a bastardized representation of Cupid, I think there is something to be said about Kubo's dedication to the theme itself. Swiftly moving on, one of the strongest holy forms among the Sternritter undoubtedly belongs to Sternritter M, the Miracle Gerard Valkyrie. Like his fellow Schutzstaffel members, the anime gave us the basic version of his holy form as he was resurrected by Yuhabak, granting Gerard a pair of huge, crimson feathery wings that look probably the most typically angelic of any we've seen so far, as well as a small halo to go with them. However, during his final battle with the Gotei 13, the extent of Gerard's power is truly revealed. After he's split in two by Kenpachi's bankai, Gerard's Quincy cross is exposed, lingering in the sky for a moment before starting to spin, drawing Gerard's blood back to it, as it then proceeds to lift the bifurcated halves of the Sternritter up into the air. As Gerard's body is sewn back together again with a heavenly light, a colossal blinding flash reveals his Vollständig, Ashtonig, the authority of God. Now absolutely titanic in size, way larger than anything we've ever seen in Bleach before, Gerard looms over the battlefield. His Vollständig changes his design slightly, most prominently giving him an awesome looking helmet that covers his entire head, coming together at the front in the shape of a beard, while his shield has gained several spikes around the rim. Lining Gerard's physical form are several markings that to me kind of remind me of the depiction of a homunculus, which would corroborate my theory that Gerard isn't so much alive as he is a walking, talking golem, whose Quincy cross acts as his core and must be destroyed for him to be killed, but whether that actually happens in the anime or not, we've still yet to see. Speaking of which, in this form, Gerard is seemingly missing his fingernails, and his hair takes on a plasticky appearance at times as well. Strangely, unlike most other holy forms, Gerard actually loses his wings after a while, implying they aren't part of the transformation. This is likely due to the fact that Gerard is capable of conjuring his massive wings whenever he wants, and isn't limited to doing so in his Vollständig. On a similar note, Gerard is the only Quincy to not have a halo when in his Vollständig either. Now, he does have one, as mentioned earlier, in his resurrected basic holy form in the anime, so it's possible the anime will give him one in this form too, but I actually wonder if the reason he didn't have a halo in the source material was because Yhwach wasn't the source of his or Pernida's power like he was for all other Sternritter. Like Asnod before him, Gerard's Vollständig has a second form, though this is most likely a direct result of his Schrift, the miracle, doing whatever it can to revive him. When his body is completely destroyed by the Gote 13, Gerard resurrects once again, his missing flesh, which is now basically all of it, replaced with pure light. His wings have now become enormous spikes protruding from his back, while his helmet has seemingly extended over his entire head, a flaming plumage of reishi adorning the very top. In this form, Gerard has lost most of his more human qualities, becoming a faceless, voiceless guardian of Yhwach's new world. Alright, dialing it back a bit, up next we have Sternritter N. Robert Akutrone and his Vollständig Grimaniel the Walk of God. Despite still not knowing what Robert's Schrift is, the name of his Vollständig has long given us a clue, with many people speculating the Walk of God was referencing Robert's incredible speed, something that was seemingly confirmed by the anime's extended version of his confrontation with Byakuya. Robert's was the only Vollständig we saw during the first Quincy invasion, and he activated it in a split second during his skirmish with Kyoraku. As Kyoraku kicked Robert in the gut, leaving him wide open to a massive slash from Katen Kyokotsu, Robert simply called the name of his holy form, enabling him to instantly teleport behind the captain, catching him off guard before shooting out his eye. For a long time, I thought Robert's strange, small, almost messy-looking wings were supposed to represent some kind of digital static, but now it's quite clear the design is meant to convey speed lines, which is pretty cool. Robert uses his Vollständig in a way totally unlike anyone else in the source material, jumping in and out of it near instantaneously, simply using it in a split second to get one over Kyoraku. Thanks to the anime, we know that he was tapping into the basic version of his power, though it is still impressive how quickly he was able to use it. In his battle with Byakuya, Robert uses Sclavarai to enhance Grimaniel, giving himself a pair of reishi gloves, reishi boots with speed lines bleeding from the back of them, and a face mask, likely to protect himself when moving at extreme speeds. Interestingly, Robert's Vollständig had 3 different colours in the anime. Initially, it was portrayed as being similar in colour to Quilge's, but a slightly lighter shade of blue. I suppose it was probably at this point that the anime team decided they wanted to change it up for every Sternritter, so at the start of the second Quincy invasion it was changed to a pale teal colour, before finally becoming a dark emerald. My favourite of the 3 choices was the pale teal, as that was the most unique. I don't know why they then made it emerald when that's so close to the colour of Lille's Vollständig, but there you go. Regardless, in his enhanced holy form, Robert was able to move so blisteringly quickly that Byakuya felt the need to use bankai against him. Another of the Bambis, Sternritter P. the Power Meninas Macallon, got a massive upgrade to her Vollständig in the anime that frankly did a lot of good for her character as a whole. Meninas' initially unnamed holy form was only glimpsed in a single panel in the source material, giving her a pair of wings in the shape of a string of hearts. However, her holy form was taken to the next level in the anime, where it was named Pornipora, or the Power of God. In the anime, Meninas uses Sclavarai to empower her Vollständig before fighting Ichigo, disappearing in a column of pink light before emerging starting with a new, altered look. After being enhanced, Pornipora now bestows Meninas with a huge heart-shaped breastplate, as well as wide, flat, pink shoes and heart-shaped knee pads. The wings themselves have also blossomed into much bigger versions, much fuller versions of the hearts she had originally, but the biggest change to her form is the addition of a pair of dumbbells which she uses to fight with. Using these dumbbells, Meninas can battle up close with an ability called Dumbbell Duster, or elongate the weapons, turning them into batons to use Dumbbell Duster Baton Beat, enabling her to twirl and spin the batons while using them in battle. Finally, Meninas gains the power to use Dumbbell Duster Halteres, morphing one of the weights into a hefty flat blade, which she can use to try and smash the opponent. Meninas remains one of the less interesting Sternritter in my opinion, but her enhanced Vollständig is a massive improvement overall, also giving her character a lot more personality. Up next we have Sternritter S, the superstar masked demasculine, and his unnamed Vollständig. There's not much to say about this one really, though I do like the design. Mask activates his holy form by using his Quincy cross, which is situated in the centre of his wrestling belt. As his dark red Vollständig bursts into life, Mask gains a very unique set of wings, in that they're not really wings at all. Instead, his wings take the form of a cape that flows from his shoulders. At the same time, he gains an enormous halo in the shape of a powerful star, and a pair of tiny, shimmering wings rest upon his chest. While his Vollständig is active, the star in the centre of Mask also ripples with a glittering power. Thanks to his Vollständig giving him the power of flight, Mask takes to the skies to use his ultimate ability, Star Flash Supernova, darting about the air to form the shape of a flaming red star, which he then sends plummeting down towards Earth. When the gigantic star makes contact with the ground, it completely decimates everything in its path in an all-powerful torrent of fiery power. Interestingly, I feel Star Flash Supernova is portrayed quite differently between the two mediums. The anime gives the ability an actual, tangible star, which then slowly descends towards the ground, but I always thought, based on its appearance in the source material, that there was no physical star at all. Instead, the outline of the star that Mask drew in the sky simply imprinted itself immediately on the world below in a massive tempestuous explosion, but alas. While Mask's Vollständig is unnamed, he mentions in some translations at least the splendour of a god when he transforms, and I always thought that could have made a cool name for it. Alright, we have another Bambi to look at next, and this time it is Sternritter T, the Thunderbolt Candice Catnip, with her Vollständig Barbariel, or the Thunder of God. While Candice's Vollständig went unnamed in the source material like the rest of them, at the very least, hers had the best showing of the lot when she went toe-to-toe with Ichigo. A very basic version of Candice's Vollständig is glimpsed when her wings resonate with the power of Bambietta's holy form and pop out involuntarily, but her holy form isn't seen properly until the battle with Ichigo. Upon activation, Candice gains 6 bright green wings in the shape of individual lightning bolts, and a jagged halo as a thin ring of electricity emanates from her. In this form, perhaps the coolest and most unique aspect of Barbariel is that Candice is able to break off her own wings and fight with them, using 2 bolts of electricity to clash with Ichigo's dual Zanpakuto. Thanks to this, Candice claims to be able to use up to 6 weapons, and even throws one of them like a javelin at Ichigo as well, launching the bolt of lightning towards him at tremendous speed. I do wonder what happens if she runs out of wings. If she plucks all 6 of them, does her Vollständig disappear, or does it regenerate the wings so long as she has the energy to do so? But Candice has access to a few abilities in Vollständig as well, from the aforementioned Galvano Javelin to her ultimate attack, Electrocution, which causes crackling electricity to form even on her eyelashes as she transforms her entire arm into a massive electrical blast, bringing down a torrent of power upon Ichigo. Despite seeing seemingly everything her Vollständig can do already in the source material, Candice also enhances her holy form with Sclaverai in the anime, revealing its name while the design changes ever so slightly. Glistening green bolts of lightning appearing on her thighs and chest, as well as protruding from the backs of her boots. Interestingly, the anime highlights a possible unique weakness to Candice's Vollständig. During her battle with Byakuya, she seemingly runs out of power, and her Vollständig disappears instantly, leaving her totally open to attack. While it would make sense for an electricity-themed Vollständig to have a charge-related aspect to it, it's also possible that she simply ran out of stamina due to how taxing Vollständig is to use and how relatively new to it she actually is. The last unnamed Vollständig belongs to Sternritter Yu, the underbelly NaNaNa Najakoop. There's really not a lot to say about this one. When NaNaNa transforms, he's engulfed in a brilliant tower of orange light. In his holy form, his wings take the shape of several circles linked together with a few spikes at the top. I can't help but feel it would look better without the spikes, but there you go. While NaNaNa's holy form is seen more and in a much clearer way in the anime, it is actually briefly visible in the source material. When the Gotei 13 and the Sternritter prepare to clash, several sets of wings are seen as the Quincy all activate their holy forms. One of them is a series of looped circles. On the next page, NaNaNa's wings aren't visible, but everyone else's are, allowing you to put two and two together. In the anime's extended version of the battle between him, Candice, Robert, and Byakuya, for some reason NaNaNa never activates his holy form when it seems like it would at least be beneficial to try. Alright, our penultimate holy form belongs to the final member of the Schutzstaffel, and is one of the most powerful, prominent, and terrifying Vollständig in the arc. Sternritter X, the X-axis, Lille Barrow's holy form is Ziliel, the Judgment of God, and this is another one that offers up a full and complete transformation, rendering Lille almost totally unrecognisable. However, before we get to that, the anime has revealed again the initial basic form of Ziliel after Lille was resurrected by his king. Here we see two of Lille's eventually 8 wings lined with 3 gaping holes, which we of course know will eventually facilitate a much more deadly form of the X-axis. Oddly, his wings are a dark green colour, similar to Robert's. I say oddly because, as I've said before, Lille's Vollständig is likely to all be one colour, since it's made entirely of light, and I can't help but think him being totally green isn't going to look great, but we're going to have to wait and see. Having said that, looking at the image on screen right now, the main gown could theoretically be white while the glowing parts of the image are green. Either way, I'm still not sold on green being the right colour here. When it comes time for Lille to utilise the full power of his Vollständig, well, we're in for a spectacle. As he battles Kyoraku, Lille activates Ziliel using his Quincy cross, the X-shaped tattoo over his eye, and he gets a much more unique and intricate transformation ritual than most. Once Lille has been forced into a situation where he's had to open his eye 3 times in a single fight, he's allowed to use his Vollständig, or else it wouldn't be fair to the sinners, supposedly. Lille's tattoo begins to glow and lifts from his face as the X starts to spin rapidly, generating a brilliant, blinding light. Suddenly, a massive Quincy cross, its points embellished with fleur-de-lis for that extra bit of pomp, appears in front of the Sternritter, hiding Lille from view. But when the dust clears, Lille has changed completely. What was once human has now become holy. Lille's Vollständig takes the form of a biblically accurate seraphim, an angel at the right hand of God, made purely of light. Lille's 8 feathery wings are divine, each one lined with holes from which the X-axis fires its unstoppable blasts. Above his head rests an enormous halo, but it's what's going on with his body that's the most unusual. Lille's human form has been replaced with a strange alien priestly robe that tapers off into 2 points where his legs once were. What remains of Lille barely visible deep within a cavernous collar. You can see, just about, that the bottom half of Lille's face is now nothing more than a melted mess of light, disappearing into his robe. As the fight continues, Lille's gown unravels, revealing peculiar hind legs that take him further and further from his original self. Honestly, while the design of Lille's Vollständig and its later forms is divisive, I really love and respect what Kubo is going for here. This messenger of God strays into the totally inconceivable, which is pretty perfect. In this form, Lille is completely intangible. All of Kyoraku's attacks, both physical and Kido, simply pass through him. Not only that, but Lille is now capable of actual teleportation, his body shrinking and vanishing before reappearing in a sphere of light. As the fight continues, however, it becomes clear that these are not Lille's greatest powers. In actuality, his greatest asset while in his Vollständig is that he can no longer be killed. Even Kyoraku's bankai, which cuts off and destroys the Sternritter's head, isn't successful. Lille transforms once again, this time growing into a draconic yet cherubim form, that of a round chubby child with fair curly hair yet the facial features of an owl, giving him a truly Lovecraftian appearance. In this monstrous form, his arms regrow, segmented and weird, and really we've gone so far off the reservation at this point that it's almost unbelievable. Certainly, Lille is completely unrecognisable. Lille's Vollständig is on a totally different level to every other form on this list, even his Schutzstaffel contemporaries. At this point, Lille has become so powerful that the energy beams he unleashes from his arms have the power to eradicate entire swaths of buildings, and he can generate blinding balls of holy light from his fingertips. Meanwhile, his ultimate attack, Trompette, blows an angelic tune of death, annihilating an entire cityscape in one fell strike. Really, what I'm trying to say is that Lille's Vollständig represents the ultimate in Quincy power, the most zealous and devoted of all the angels, and that comes across in both its visual representation and its limitless power. Lille does have one final form after his godly powers have been split apart by NaNa's Shinken Hakyoken. However, since his halo has been shattered and his divinity removed from him, I don't think the weird flamingos can really be considered a part of his Vollständig. And finally, we come to the last Vollständig on the list, and the last member of the Bambis, Sternritter Zed the Zombie Giselle Jewel and her holy form Azal Biora, meaning the death of God, which feels like an oddly fitting one to end on. Giselle's holy form is glimpsed briefly in the source material. Struggling after her defeat in battle against Mayuri, Giselle's wings are revealed after she kills the zombified Bambietta, draining her of the blood that she once gave to her. And Giselle's wings are fantastic, taking the shape of long, arched, skeletal wings, giving the Sternritter a creepy and gothic appearance. Giselle noted earlier that she doesn't like to use Vollständig as it tires her out, but at least we got to see it here. However, like the other Bambis, she too enhances her Vollständig with Sklaveri in the battle with Ichigo. Her wings take on a deep dark blue colour, she gains a skeletal tail, and a set of chibi, cartoonish ribs on her chest, complete with a skull centrepiece. As with the other enhanced forms, it's a great looking design, and we get to see a few different abilities from it as well. Dancing Dead Boys Club is the most prominent ability shown, where Giselle is capable of conjuring a group of cartoon skeleton warriors to do her bidding. When the skeletons are destroyed, their bones group together, pinning the opponent in place. The second ability of Giselle's is called Munchy Munchy Babies, and she gains a pair of chomping skulls on her outstretched hands. Unfortunately, this ability is interrupted, but it looks like it's designed to be used in conjunction with Dancing Dead Boys Club after the enemy has been paralysed. Which makes sense, as Kubo later revealed that by biting an enemy with the skulls on her hands, Giselle is able to zombify them without the use of her blood. And that is every single Quincy Vollständig revealed so far in Bleach, and what we know about them. Like I said before, they're an awesome transformation. I love the angelic theme, and I wish Kubo had been a bit more consistent in the way they were showcased, making each one feel as exciting and epic as either a Shinigami's Bankai or an Arrancar's Resurrection, as they are the equivalent. That being said, I think the anime has done a lot to help them stand out as well, improving on almost every single one of them in some way or another. It is a shame that not every single Sternritter gets to have a Vollständig or show off a Vollständig. For example, there are two here, Sternritter I the Iron Can-Do and Sternritter K BG9, both of whom activate their holy form, but neither of them are actually seen. And that's a big shame. Of course, if anything new regarding the Vollständig is revealed in the remaining 2 cores to come, we'll take another look at this subject. But for now, this has been a pretty exhaustive look at the Quincy's final ultimate power, and I hope you enjoyed it. But that's it for the video, guys. Make sure to let me know down in the comments below which Quincy Vollständig is your favourite. Doesn't matter which one you choose, just let me know in the comments below which one you like the most and why. And are you hoping to see some Vollständig for characters that didn't get to show one off in the source material in the anime to come? Let me know all of your thoughts down in the comments. And as always, I want to end this video by saying a massive thank you and giving a huge shout out to my supporters over on Patreon. I really do appreciate each and every one of you so very much. If you like what I do here on YouTube, you can support me over on Patreon as well to get your name in the credits just like this and to get every video I release absolutely ad-free. Alright guys, but until next time, I'll catch you later and I'll see you then.